Hey beautiful people, my name's Shelly and this is my channel Shell Space. It is December 1st. I cannot believe it's December 1st. Like, where has time gone? But here we are. November's done, gone. I'm kind of happy because November was not the best month for me. But reading, I did actually okay. I thought that initially halfway through the month, I'm like, oh, I didn't read very much. But then now I'm looking at this stack here and it's quite big. I read a lot of big books in November. So, I mean, I guess quality over quantity, right? So with all that said, let's talk about some books. So I'm going to talk about which books I liked the least first, and then work my way up to my favorite of the month. The first book I would like to mention will probably sadden a lot of people that it's like the lowest on my list, but I still really enjoyed it. And this has to go show how good my reading month was, that I still really enjoyed it. But it just, for me, it didn't stand out as my favorite book of the month. And that would be The Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. This was a really good book and a solid conclusion to a really good series. Trilogy, I should say. But for me, it's not a favorite trilogy. There was a lot of political maneuvering. There was a lot of just sitting down and talking about things all the time. And it just seemed like this book just kept going on and on and on forever. And I'm just like, just get to the meat of the story. Let's get to the meat. I want to see what happens. And there was always things that happened, but in between those events, there was also long conversations about things and political intrigue and maneuvering. For a lot of people, that would be a bonus. And I do enjoy some political maneuvering and plotting and all that stuff. But I like it in the background, not really in the forefront of the story, which it really took place in this because it is about maneuvering between all these wealthy families and yeah. But the ending was just perfect. It wrapped this trilogy up in a sweet little bow, and I still really recommend this to people. I would probably say this is more on the more advanced fantasy side because there is a lot going on. There's different magic systems. There's a lot of characters. It's a lot of information. So I would say this is probably for more advanced readers. But regardless, it is still a good trilogy. It's completed and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So I think I gave this about 4 stars out of 5. Obviously, that's still pretty good, right? The next book I would like to talk about is Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Hi. It wasn't until I was putting my books away that I realized that I grabbed the wrong book to talk about. I didn't read Shards of Earth in November. I read Eyes of the Void. Different book, same series. This is the second book in the Final Architecture trilogy, which is like a space opera. And again, like Labyrinth's Heart, this is an advanced read. There's a lot going on in this. Honestly, the world building really reminded me of an epic fantasy where you have multiple cultures, different languages, everybody has their own history, there's different religions and factors of society, and it's so complex and there's so much information just in these pages. With that said, it's not really a character-driven story. It's all about the plot, the theories, and the big ideas that is behind this book, and which is, I have known, a trend that Adrian Tchaikovsky does follow. He's a very smart person, obviously, and he has a lot of smart, brilliant ideas. It's kind of hard to explain, but the narrative of this story is very scientific. Even the explanations in between scenes and conversations is all very you're reading a report. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's actually very well written. It's very engaging. Because of that, the ideas really do take over the story, and they are the characters, and the characters are just reenacting the story and making sure that it happens. But to contradict myself, I really did enjoy the characters. In this world, we have lots of crazy, unique aliens, and then there's a lot of subhumans, different humans that were genetically enhanced. So you have all that mixed in, plus these mysterious architects that nobody really knows about. I feel like this series, the characters are a little bit more developed than say Children of Time, or yeah, I guess I can just compare it to Children of Time because that's the only other sci-fi series that I've read of his. So this is for people who are really into more advanced ideas of sci-fi with some crazy ideas and crazy plot. So if you're looking for a unique advanced sci-fi, I highly recommend this series. The next books I would like to talk about are actually a duology. I'm trying to get better at reading series back to back. I have a really bad habit of like picking up one book and then spacing it out through months to read the next book. It's bad. You guys know how it goes. It's bad. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to like really finish off series and read them back to back so I don't have to reread books. So the duology that I would like to talk about is The Elements of Cadence by Rebecca Ross. The first being A River Enchanted and the second being A Fire Endless. I'm just going to hold up The River Enchanted because it's a little easier. So I loved this book. This first book was just so freaking good. It was very nostalgic to me. It reminded me of things that I used to read when I was younger. Unfortunately, when I followed up with A Fire Endless, I didn't love this one as much. Maybe because I felt like I got everything I wanted out of A River Enchanted. But yeah, I didn't love this one as much because we're now exploring. Okay, so let's pause, rewind. Let's talk about what this book is actually about. So this book is about Jack, and Jack is a bard, and he got sent from his like Scottish island to the mainland and to go to school to learn music. And then he gets a letter saying that he needs to come back to his island for mysterious reasons. So he returns to his island, and he hasn't been back in something like 8 years or something like that, and returns, and it's like much the same. But his island, on his island, believing in the fae and the fair folk is it's you don't even believe it. They're there, the fair folk and there, but on the mainland they don't believe in it. So he is returning to this island where there's a lot of mystery. Like they even talk about like sometimes when they're walking home, the mountains and the hills change and then you get lost. Like it's really interesting. The writing is really vivid. So he returns to the island and he discovers that young girls are disappearing. So he basically gets like guilted into solving this mystery with the daughter of I can't remember what they're called, the head of the clan. So he gets basically strapped into solving this problem with this young clan head's daughter. And they have a really, really rocky past. So not only does he have to like come back home after being away for so long, he now has to like work with this girl that he doesn't get along with. Not to mention, the island is actually split in half between two people. There's like his people, and then the other people, they're basically been at a war with for hundreds of years, and there's like a wall up. There's a lot of tension on the island because they're not sure who is kidnapping, if it's the Fae or if it's the other people on the other side of the wall. But I loved it because it was Scottish inspired. The world is very whimsical. You have like the Fae that are like, you know, the ones that kind of want to trick you. And there's a lot, it's very atmospheric. It's very cold. And just, yeah, everything about it was just very detailed. But then the second one, we continue with the story pretty much right away. It's a continuation. I just didn't like where it went. I don't want to say because I don't want to give too much away, but I just didn't like where it went. I felt like the stakes were, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it as much as the first one. So the first one, I think I gave 5 stars. And then the second one, I think I gave only 4 stars. So the last book that I want to talk about is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House like when it came out. I think it was 2019. Was it? I don't know. That doesn't seem like that long ago, but that was that long ago. So I read it and I was like, yeah, it's good. It's like whatever. Maybe I just didn't read it at the right time. I read this book at the right time. I picked this book up at the perfect time. You can't even see the cover. It's all shiny. I didn't realize how much I really missed urban fantasy until I picked this up because I've been reading a lot of like regular fantasy or sci-fi. I don't read a lot of urban fantasy which takes place in modern time. And honestly, I think I didn't realize how much I was craving it until I picked this up and just devoured it. I loved the evolution of the characters and meeting new characters and the evolution of the story. I love like the dark academia feel and the mystery that they go through, and I loved the heavy Buffy vibe. Like it was just Buffy vibe. Like that's all I have to say. Like obviously I can't say very much because it is the sequel, But if you read the first one and you were kind of lukewarm on it, continue with the second one because it just gets so good. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to the third one, and I can't wait till we get a release date for it. Since the sequel has not even been announced of this, I am still craving like urban fantasy. So I decided to continue on with my urban fantasy journey, and I kind of did a quick Google search of like the best ones, and I was chosen I was kind of split between starting with Alona Andrews or Patricia Briggs series. I actually picked up the Alona Andrews what is it called? Clean Sweep, I think it is. The Innkeeper series. I can't remember. I'll put it down below if I didn't get it right. And I listened to a little bit of it, and I really didn't like the narrator at all. So I decided to put that down. So maybe that's something that I have to physically read. I'm still interested in their Magic Bites series. Hopefully it's not the same audio narrator. I haven't even looked. But then I decided to pick up Moon Calling by Patricia Briggs. And this is her Mercy Thomas series. I actually read Moon Calling years and years ago, but I just didn't finish it for whatever reason. So I'm reading that right now. I currently am, I think, chapter 4 or 5. I'm listening to the audiobook, and I think I've passed the point where I dropped the book. So this is all brand new stuff to me, and I'm enjoying it. Like, it's pretty good. It's really reminiscent to Dresden Files, but like from a female perspective. So far, I mean, I'm only like 5 chapters in, so I don't know. But for me, Dresden really didn't work because of his actual narrative, like his inner monologue. I found, okay, so maybe this will change. Maybe this has changed in his later books, but in the first 2 books that I have read from Dresden Files, I just really didn't jive with the narration and the writing style, mainly because I didn't really like how the women characters were written. So I'm definitely enjoying this. So if you're like me and you've tried the Dresden Files and it just didn't click with you, maybe try Moon Calling by Patricia Briggs. So that was my November wrap up. You can find me on Instagram and Goodreads. I'm more active on Goodreads. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.